Hello everyone, Para here from the Paradox Brothers YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing a deck profile uh, for a Ritual Chaos deck. This won't be a Relinquished one actually. This will be a Doriado. I think that's how you, or Doriado. Not entirely sure how you pronounce that, but um, it's the Elemental Mistress card that uh, counts as like fire, wind, earth, uh, water, light. Yeah, the majority of the elements in Go format. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, uh, I play three of the Elemental Mistress Ritual Monster card. And this card is very interesting if you don't actually know what it is. So, I'll probably spend the most time on this card and the cards that go around it on this profile because a lot of the other cards in this deck you'll already be familiar with. But the original printing of this, not sure this is focusing or not for you, but the original printing of this doesn't specify that it only applies on the field. I know they reprinted it later and it said that the effect only applies when it's on the field, but that's not the case in Go format. So a little bit of warning, if you choose to play this online, you're going to run into like 90% of the people are not going to know this ruling, um, which isn't really too dissimilar to what you already experience on Go format where they don't know the ruling and then they say they know, or they just say, no, you're wrong, but they have no proof for it. But this goes with all rulings in Go format. Just make sure you look it up. And if you're playing on Dueling Book, it's probably not a terrible idea just to have another tab open with goformat.com. But yes, so this counts as all those elements in your hand, in the grave, etc. So you can use it for like discards, like with Abyss Soldier. You can banish it from your graveyard to summon like Gigantes or Aqua Spirit or Sylphid or anything like that. It's obviously still a light, so you can use it to summon BLS. Um, yeah, it's actually a pretty interesting card. And there's a particular trap card that I'll show you here in a second that it works really well with this card. Outside of that, though, the stats are very weak. And a lot of the times you might just end up you might find yourself just discarding this card and not actually trying to summon it. But if you do summon it and get you're able to use the trap card that I'll show you in a second, uh, you can generate some major advantage. But I also play one Relinquished. So that way we have the ability to search lights, which we can discard with Abyss Soldier and things like that as well. But we also have a dark that we can use to get the Chaos monsters online. And this is a lot easier and probably a lot more useful in most instances to summon this guy versus Doriado. Alright, that's it for the ritual monsters in this deck. I play one Blacklister Soldier on board at the beginning. This is the only Chaos monster that I play in the deck, just because there's a large variety of kind of tech niche cards in here that I would rather play. I play three Manjus and one Senju. So Manju searches either the ritual card or the ritual monster. Senju searches the monster. We have a lot more monster ritual cards than we do actual ritual spells in this deck, so it makes sense to play this um, over like Sonic Bird or something like that, and also it's a light. So being aggressive with these recruiters is what you want to do early on in the game. Summon this, get a plus off of it, attack in, and just try to be as aggressive and do as much chip damage as you possibly can. And when they go into the graveyard, we have ways of making use of them. So it is important to note that, you know, special summoning this does not activate their effect, but if you flip summon it or if you reset it with Tsukuyomi or Book of Moon, you do get their effect again. So as I kind of alluded to earlier, there's two Abyss Soldier in here. You can use Doriado to discard this from your hand after you get it to your hand with Manju, and then you can discard it to get Abyss Soldier's effect. Obviously, you usually want to use Sinister Serpent, but I think anyone who uses Abyss Soldier knows that like this card is really amazing, but oftentimes it's just a vanilla card because you don't have the water in your hand. But in this particular deck, it's so much better because not only do you have the Sinister Serpent in here, but you also have the Doriado as well. So very aggressive card, Tsukuyomi proof since it has 1300 defense, and just a very cool card and good card and Go format. one Sinister Serpent to use it with Abyssal Soldier, and then also discard off Graceful Charity, and to use with Tribe-Infecting Virus as well. Then play 3 Thunder Dragons, which we can use with Graceful Charity to make that optimal, to make our opponent's Delinquent Duo worse, and to use with the 1 Free the Brave Wanderer I have in here. This is the only warrior card I really have here, and I don't have Reinforce Them to the Army. I think of this as kind of just like you draw into it, and it's almost like a considerably weaker Chaos Sorcerer, because I don't have a Chaos Sorcerer in this deck. But we have an abundant amount of light cards in here, and with like the Thunder Dragons and the Recruiters that are also light, and then the Doriados, which are also light, that it makes sense to put this in here. You draw this, and it can be an out to a big monster on the field, and it's also a light in itself. And I think it's a really cool card. Play 1 Sangan, which can search Doriado. You actually don't have to use the Recruiter to search her, because she has such little attack that you can actually search it off of Sangan as well. But you can also search Sinister Serpent and any of the Manju Senjus. Play 1 Breaker, the Magical Word, just a really good card that you can plus with. And then 1 Tsukuyomi, which you can use to reset your Relinquished. If you get them onto the field, you can take care of the majority of warrior monsters in the modern day warrior decks. You can reset your BLS once you use its effect, and you flip it over, use it again, or your Recruiters. And then, so I'm going to move on to the trap cards. So in this particular build, I'm playing 3 of the Fuh-Rin-Ka-Zan. If you're not familiar with this card, you can look it up. But essentially, it could be a Graceful Charity, it could be a Delinquent Duo, it can be a Raigeki or a Harpy's Feather Duster. It has all those effects built into it. So obviously really good. And how they balance it is that you have to have all fire, water, wind, and earth on the field at the same time, which is normally pretty much impossible to do unless you have the Elemental Mistress Ritual Monster card on the field, which counts as all those. So this card makes this card very viable, and this card makes this card worth playing. So they kind of belong in the same deck. You're probably never going to see it not in the same deck. Although I wouldn't say that 3 is the best. I would say probably maybe 2 is the best, but I just have 3 in this deck. And just to the E now, because a lot of people won't, you just need this on the field at activation. So if you activate this and then they Raigeki Break this, you still get the Fuh-Rin-Ka-Zan effect, because you just need it. You just need it during the activation. It says you can only activate this card when there's 1 of each of these on the field. So you only need it at the activation. If they change something to it, doesn't really matter. You still resolve it. So don't let anybody tell you otherwise, because they will, even if they don't know. Moving on, I play 3 Raigeki Break in this deck because we have a lot of cards we would like to see into the grave. Obviously, you have your Relinquished if you need a dark because you searched it off of Manju. You have the Doriado if you just need the light and you have it in your hand and you just don't see it being feasible that you're actually going to get it summoned and be able to use the Fuh-Rin-Ka-Zan. Obviously, you have the Thunder Dragons. You have the Sinister Serpent as well. So you have lots of cards to discard with Raigeki Break. Play 1 Torrential Tribute, Ring of Destruction, and Mirror Force, which are some of the best trap cards, and best cards in general in Go formats. So obviously Ring of Destruction can just take care of almost any problem and win you the game. Torrential Tribute can just plus in a major way if you use it correctly and get rid of really annoying things like spies that are set in defense mode just sitting there, or if they have like 2 or 3 spies on the field, you can just summon a Sinister Serpent, activate this, you get your Sinister Serpent back, and their spies are gone. And obviously, it can just take care of anything annoying that comes your way. And Mirror Force is just a really good blowout card. That's it for the trap cards. Moving on to the spells here. we'll just start off with these actually. So I play 2 Doriado's Blessing, which is the ritual spell card that goes with the ritual monster, and 1 Black Illusion Ritual. Like I said, we play more of the ritual monsters than we do of the ritual spell cards because we're not always going to be summoning the card, honestly. A lot of the times, I mean, it's really nice when you do summon Doriado and you can use Fuh-Rin-Ka-Zan because it can just be a major benefit to you. But and Relinquish is really nice in a pinch as well, so it's nice to have these in here. But you might find yourself just discarding them off a Raigeki Break, possibly. 1 Snatch Steal and 2 Nobleman of Crossout. I don't have Premature Burial in here, mostly because there are 20 monsters, and you don't really get the effects of the Manju and Senju from special summoning it. And there's so many monsters for special summoning anyway that I don't know. Maybe Premature Burial could be in here because you can bring the ritual monsters back if you actually properly summon them. But I just don't have it in here at the time. Maybe removing one of the Fuh-Rin-Ka-Zans and putting a Premature Burial is the right thing to do. You could tell me. 1 Mystical Space Typhoon and 1 Heavy Storm, and just really good spell cards. Get rid of back row, and set you up to win the game. And then finally, I just play the very overpowered 3 pieces of the Trinity here: Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, and Delinquent Duo. So let me talk real fast to kind of how I feel like this deck could be, kind of played, or what I categorize this as. Definitely more of a control-like deck, but kind of maybe more on the aggro side. It's really kind of hard to say, but you can be very aggressive with the Abyss Soldier. It's almost like an Abyss Soldier deck with some chaos in it or something like that, because you could just use this so well in this deck with Doriado and then set you up for BLS plays and things like that. So and then the recruiters are just always going to be, you always want to be kind of aggressive with these. You're not setting monsters really at all, actually, in this deck. Pretty much never setting monsters. You could put in a Magician of Faith or something like that if you wanted to. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can configure this deck, but this is the way that I particularly like it. There was a video, I believe it was an Italian player that had a similar deck like this not too long ago, and I can't remember what it is, but you can find it on YouTube if you were to search Doriado GOAT format. I'm sure you'll find it. There are not too many of these deck profiles on there, but they had like some Sonic Birds in here and things like that. I personally don't think that's necessary to have all that because it's not overly dependent upon the ritual monsters, although it is a core mechanic of the deck. But just plussing with these cards in itself is kind of good enough. You don't even necessarily have to summon them. If you can benefit off of them with like Raigeki Break and things like that, then summon BLS once you get into the grave. And in this case, get Abyss Soldier plays, which are really nice. So that's it for the deck profile. Hopefully you guys liked it. You can let us know down below, like, different ways that you might play this deck. Maybe you try it, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I would say if you do try to play this, don't expect that it's going to be like, you can really have high ceilings and do really well. It does take a lot. It's not a deck that just plays itself. You have to put a lot of thought into the moves that you make because you have to know kind of when the right time is to do certain things, and oftentimes you won't be right, and it's very difficult to come back. And anything that's kind of has a combo kind of aspect to it at all, which this deck does kind of have a combo aspect to it, you have to be aware that cards like Delinquent Duo and things like that just can totally ruin your day. But this is a lot more resilient than most combo decks, which is not really a combo deck, but it just has that whole Fuh-Rin-Ka-Zan combo aspect to it. But that's because you're going to have a ton of cards like Doriado in your hand, and Relinquished, and Thunder Dragons, and you're going to be a lot more resilient against like Delinquent Duo and things of that nature. But yeah, let us know how you like this deck in the comments below, and I'll have a playthrough video at some point in the near future, playing this either on Dueling Book or EDO Pro, one of the two, whatever I feel like doing at the time. And we'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.